unto you. Hello and welcome to Tiffany Talks. My name is Tiffany, and today's guest we have Miss Deborah Evans, aka my mother. Okay, my mother is here to tell her transformation story. And you know what's really interesting? She came to me yesterday and she said, I want to get on your show. I want to talk about my story. I want to talk about my drug addiction, my recovery, and all of that good stuff. So I was super excited to actually want her to actually share her story, because you know my motto, I believe healing starts when we actually can talk about our story, when we could share our journey, share what we've been through, talk about those things that are in the pit of our stomach that needs to come up, and speak and heal. So hi Mom, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, so Mom, tell us, about your childhood and, what you can remember from when you were a child. What was the times like? I know it was a lot different from this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, my grandmother raised me, and she put that spirituality in me. And when I could still remember, and when I was 6,
mm-hmm.
and I got baptized.
Okay.
And God has always been in me ever since.
Wow.
And
since 6.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And like I didn't know where my mother was at when she raised me, and I just didn't know. Mm-hmm. And
so she was missing, like, yeah. In your role and growing mm-hmm. up as a child, she was not there.
Yes, and I always was spoiled, and I was the first grandchild and the first niece and the first everything, and I was spoiled. So when I was going to start my journey of getting high, I was about 11.
Wow.
And
what made you start, like, what made you want to, like, get high? Like, where was your escapism?
And well, it was around my friends. And
okay. So your peers?
Yes. And I started getting high, and since I was 11, and I did downers, the volumes, and I remember one time when I did so much volume, I fell asleep in the schoolyard.
Wow.
And I don't know how I got back to the home.
Right.
And then I started doing Black Beauties.
Okay.
And
Black Beauties?
And it's the upper. And at the pill.
Oh, it's a pill mm-hmm. too. Okay.
Yeah. And I started doing uppers, and then I got wild with it. And I remember taking acid.
But at what point was you, like, to me, I feel like you were escaping something, because I feel like drugs, like, what was going on in your life that you were just, felt like you needed to rely on drugs? What was going on around you in your environment?
Nothing.
So you was just going to school every day, and it was just something to do
mm-hmm.
out of boredom.
Yeah, but I liked it.
Oh,
and so I love getting high.
Right.
And I would still get high if I could afford it. But no, I'm not going to say that. But I love getting high. I still
well,
like
if I can afford it. Okay.
And I was over my best friend's house, and I took some acid.
Okay.
And I was running to the closet, and I don't know how I got out. And then I was boosted up. I did Monster, and I snorted it.
Right.
And I stayed up for so many days. And I just like it. And one time, and I was to the bar at about 14, 15.
Okay.
And I was to the bar, and the bartender said, well, and no rum and coke, you just drink all of it. And I would say, you're right. And then, I did heroin. And, I didn't like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but, so many days I was in heroin and, shooting up. And I said, well, that's it. So I went to coke.
Okay.
And my friends and everything, and I used to have one. I had a coke all around, and I was snorting and shooting.
Oh.
And
Wow.
yeah, and then
Was this before you started smoking, or?
yeah.
This was before, so that led to smoking.
Yes.
So who introduced you to smoking?
I don't know. I mean, and I smoked one time, and then I was hooked. And what hurts me so bad is not hurt myself, it's hurt my children.
Right.
And I was all 5 of y'all was in a abuse shelter.
Right.
And I had 2 black guys, and I don't know where they came from, and I guess this was my husband.
Oh, right. I did. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, our father was very abusive towards my mom. He provided in a sort of sense, but he was also on drugs as well too. So he was like very, very like toxic and abusive and very controlling, very narcissistic, so to speak. So what was going on when you had these 2 black eyes? And because I remember you going to church and wearing black shades.
I used to love church.
Yeah, you did. And she would still go to church even with her black eyes.
Yeah,
She
I
was
still
she would still go to church.
Because I was God's child.
Yeah.
And that
Even though
was
you was going through that.
in me.
Right.
And I just I did coke in the church. And in the bathroom, a couple of times. And I just didn't feel like it was, I knew it was wrong.
Right.
But I knew it was right. And because
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So what happened when we were in the shelter? Because I never heard this story.
We was in the shelter, and Leanne was 1.
Okay.
And you was
Probably 3 or 4.
yeah. And I just got finished doing shooting up some Monster and coke.
Right.
And I went in there, and everything was fine. And I thought I was choking. And I ate some chocolate and thought I was choking, but I was having a stroke. And I don't know what happened to y'all. And I had to walk and
Learn how to walk over.
Talk and everything. But I still just felt like of God was in me, and I didn't feel no different of me walking, and I just didn't feel no difference. That I thought it was, normal, and I had a stroke, but I still didn't stop.
That was like God giving you a warning right there, and you still was kept going.
And I was, that's when I turned to crack.
After the stroke? Oh, okay. I thought it was before.
No.
Now, what I can remember, because I remember that time when you did go. I remember watching you out of the window, and you was driving off in an ambulance, and at that point when I seen you leave, even at me being so young, I immediately went into the role of being a mom. I immediately went into a role of, stepping up and being there for my siblings. I instantaneously, at that moment, felt like I couldn't be a child anymore. And it was like I got sent to North Carolina, and it kind of threw me like in survival mode a little bit. Like, Mom, it really did. It threw me into survival mode to the point where I had to set aside that inner child in me to become forced into being an adult, even at 4 or 5 years old. It was like, what is my sisters doing? Are they okay? Did they eat? Are they safe? It was just like I went into this protective mode. I'm a Leo, I'm a lion, so they were like my cubs. I didn't have children, they were like my children. So I kind of went into that instantaneously, and I felt like you sitting here and saying that, you wasn't concerned about your hurt, you was more concerned about our hurt, but it kind of was like, I don't want to use the word selfish, because I feel like you was dealing with a form of sickness and a form of addiction, because I feel like drugs is a sickness. It is something that's just like recovering from, a stroke or high blood pressure. It's a medical condition as well too, because I believe that, coke was created by man. I don't believe, they took it and turned it into something else, like you were on pills, things like that. They had to make those things, you know what I'm saying? So to me at that time, I just felt like, I don't know, it was just like I didn't understand it all. I didn't understand what was going on. I felt abandoned. I felt like you left us. We were separated. It's one of us here, and Lisa was there, and we couldn't all stay together. And I remember that being either a choice or either us going into foster care or adoption at that time. But all I could do was just remember holding our family together, like holding our siblings together.
And you did that well.
Yeah.
And, you did that absolutely well. And I since you've been around, and things have gotten better. And if you wasn't around, Tiffany, and I will still be out there, because it's Satan plays so many tricks.
Right.
And just like before we moved, and
right.
And I was thinking maybe I should go and get some break.
Yeah.
And
them voices still speak to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they still speak to me.
Yeah. And what happens is those voices, Mom, are your lower self. Okay? It's your lower self. I know a lot of people, they say it's Satan and things like that, but we have a low self and we have a high self. You're at your lower self. And usually what that does, it has you goes back to those things that you are tied to. They speak to you, they talk to you, until you actually sit and you actually deal with it. And I feel like you never really dealt with your trauma. You know, you never dealt with your abandonment issues, your neglect from your mom, or any type of abuse that you went through. You never really dealt with it.
And this is the first time I'm saying something out loud.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I want to go on your show because, I was scared.
Right.
And last night, I stood up all night just thinking about this and my drug habit.
Wow.
And
it has to come out. You have to share it. You have to, you know, you still are healing. Healing takes a lifelong journey. It doesn't happen just overnight. It takes a lifelong journey. And, you know, I want to get into when you actually stop, you know, up to the point where you actually stop, what it was like, you know, where were your thoughts at being with a toxic, abusive husband? Because you was with our dad for 30 years, you know, her and my dad are 30 years apart. So my dad, you know, was 77 when he died. You know, he was my mom was a lot younger. They were 30 years apart. She had me at 26. And I'm her first and oldest. And all I can remember, I remember when my dad like mercifully beat you so bad that you could not walk. When he beat you with them 2x4 sticks in your legs and you couldn't walk because she was out for 4 days and she couldn't find her. And he was yelling at me and was like, call your mom, find your mom. And I'm just like, I can't find her. I don't know where she is. And then she shows up in the house literally as this is going on, and he just went ballistic. Like I vividly remember that. And
he knocked me down steps.
Yeah. What was like, you know, what was your thought process in dealing with that type of abuse? Because that kind of carried on into your daughters. You know, it may not be physical, but, you know, we're dealing with emotional and mental abuse on a different level. We're dealing with a different form of abuse on a different level. I know I did. I was in a very toxic relationship. I knocked you out, hit you in the middle of me hitting him. And that's kind of the energy that I seen my dad do, I seen y'all do, so I carried it on it played into my own relationship. And that's what made me want to actually start my own healing journey because of that. You know, I felt like I didn't have peace in my life. So tell me about, like, what was it that, you know, made you want to still stay? What made you want to, you know, did you have an awareness of it? Did you feel it was normal to see those things? Did you see it in your parents?
No.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was normal, but that's life. And I just was hooked up with. I didn't want him to leave me. And no matter how beat up I got and everything. And I still stayed with him, and because I didn't, and I had no one, and my cousin Junior was my best friend.
A lot of the family did cut you off because of your addiction. They treated you, you know, different. They treated you different. My mom was like the black sheep, and you know, they just treated her different, but it was like they skipped her and went to us because they didn't treat us different. You know, it was kind of like they was actually giving us more attention. And now I'm questioning, was the attention they was giving us was because they did skip over you? You know, what was like really their intention? Because a lot of them don't show up. They didn't show up for me when I left out of my divorce. They didn't really show up in my life. You know, it felt like if I'm not in their lives, then they're not in my lives. It just like felt like I was going through the most deepest and darkest time of my life, and nobody was there. Like you're saying, you know, you just feel like there's nobody there, so you find a void to fill.
Yes, that. And that's what. It's the void.
Yeah.
And my mom never was around, and my dad wasn't there. My grandmother is, I love my grandmother, but I'm grateful for my mother because she came to every rehab and I went up to 8 different rehabs, and she
Tried H1 to support.
and I was out in about the 2 hours.
Right.
And I'm grateful for my mother, and I see where she come from, and that I'm grown and see what.
Oh, let me get the light on.
Oh.
It automatically cut off from us sitting here.
And I just see where she come from, and now that I'm grown. And
so you were staying with Lev for, that validation. Yeah, you didn't want him to leave you.
And I remember
wow, that's really eye-opening.
When I was Leroy is about who I call him, about at 1.5. And I set him in the playpen, and I went 3 blocks down and started smoking. And
he was there by himself?
Yeah. And I never just said anything about that, nothing, but, and I felt so bad. And
It's okay, Mom. It's all right.
And Lisa thinks that I did something to her, or think that Leroy not her father, but that's wrong. And I try to make it up to her, and because she been through so much, and abandonment,
well, all of your children were affected by it.
And
just her,
and all of y'all, and Lisa is the main one, and y'all is doing fine.
Yeah, we are, and I feel like, I know you say Lisa was the main one, because I feel like we all take it differently.
Oh, okay.
We all take that, what we, our experience and stuff like that, and we take it differently. But I feel like, to me, Mom, it really wasn't about, like, I know you want to show Lisa or try to make it up to her.
I
but
want to show all of y'all.
Right, but that comes from you, from within. It's you healing, it's you making a change within yourself. That's what will help us. It's not about giving us anything materialistic or even showing up in the time. It's you being your whole and your healthiest self. You know what I'm saying? Not having those thoughts, It's you. You have to heal so that we see that healing. We're like, oh my God, Mom looks bright. She looks beautiful. She looks like she's happy with herself. You are dealing with so much, to me, guilt, okay? There's a lot of guilt that I'm hearing, that I'm feeling like you are experiencing. And this is your story, and this is my first time hearing all of this. And then, it's really sad to hear what you've been through, because you never shared that with us. And that could have been a difference of making us, better, or helping us when it came to our own healing journey, because now I'm feeling like kind of left out. I didn't know you were going through all of this. I didn't, you're projecting all of this pain, and you're projecting all of this that you're going through. You're projecting it on us. So I didn't understand that, you were experiencing all of that. So this is like really like eye-opening and new to me as well. But I feel like what you're feeling is a lot of guilt. It's a lot of guilt. And I'm sure, like, to leave your child is basically you chose drugs over your children. And that lives with you for the rest of your life. Our choices live with us for the rest of our life, and as well as our consequences, But this is why I created this, so that you can speak. You see your emotions, you're letting that out. You know what I'm saying? It's okay, Mom. It's okay. we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We all go through things. You know, we all go through things. And we're not perfect. And this is what this is about. This is about sharing what you're actually going through.
And one time, when I found out Leroy was deceased, I never cried. 18 years. And if I can do it, y'all can do it.
Yes.
And and 18 years. And I thought I couldn't stop.
Right.
And
my father passed away on their last, party and rendezvous, and they got into an altercation and fought, and they knocked my dad over, and my dad had a blood clot that came in on his leg, but it traveled up to his lungs, and that's how he passed away. He actually sat in the same spot for 3 to 4 days before we actually called the ambulance. He was like, going to the bathroom, and we couldn't move him or anything like that. And then we finally called the ambulance. He kept telling us no, he didn't want the ambulance called. My dad was a very prideful, he was a Leo like me, but he was very prideful about, him going to the doctor. He didn't like going to the doctors. He didn't like all of that. So, which was a big stigma on black men, period. They don't really like the doctors. They're afraid of the doctors. I feel like they are trying to shift and change out of that, but then they didn't really like going. And so my dad finally went to the doctors. He was alive when he left us, but when he got to the hospital, he did pass away. So that was a big thing for my mom.
And I couldn't come down the steps. And I stood on the steps and lad, you all right? And I don't know, as my leg was I don't know, and how I couldn't come down the steps.
Yeah.
And
did you fall when they was fighting, or you don't remember?
No, and I didn't fall.
Okay.
Yeah, but Leroy did, lad did, and the nurse said to me, and this man had came in here the way he was and all, and you wanted to tell me you want him home? No. And he got to stay here, or he got to go into a nursing home or something. But I felt so bad. I was crying and stuff like that, and Goo and his boys came in, and I just that hurted me. And regardless,
and I couldn't be there to take care of him. I had my own kids, and I was working, and I don't even know if we lived. No, we lived in 2 separate cities, not areas.
College Avenue.
Yeah.
And 56.
Yeah. No, I think I was up like Ogons. I was in like up further.
Oh, yeah.
I was a lot further than what you were, from the house. But yeah, I do remember that, and I don't know, it just happened all so fast for me.
Yeah.
And I just was like, whoa, what is going on? Because like I said, at the time, I had my own family. I think I had 2 children at the time, and I was working, and so I couldn't really keep up with what y'all had got going on. And I do remember going to the hospital. We all got up to the hospital and we touched him, and his body went from warm to cold. It was like you could tell he was holding on for us to get there. Like his soul was holding on for us to get there. Now he's my daughter's guardian angel. He speaks to us through my daughter. She channels him and things like that. But
whether or not it was abusive and stuff like that, and I still wanted to be his wife. And I I just don't.
Me being bullied.
And you resented me.
Yes. So I resented you for a very long time. This spiritual journey has really helped me through my healing process with that. Because I just felt like, my childhood, my innocence was just robbed away from me and took it away from me, being forced into making sure that everybody was okay, even though that wasn't my job to do, and I felt like, I just didn't have no time to breathe. It just sent me right into survival mode. And then it's like I went from your house to my own house, and it just was straight like, I wasn't taught anything about self-love, self-care, no financial stuff, no nothing. I was basically just in a school of hard knocks life. Like,
well, so was I. Or was I?
Yeah,
and,
that's all you knew.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about loving y'all as
a parent.
Yeah.
It don't come with no meaning.
Yes, and I didn't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
I just knew get high.
Right, I know. Lord have mercy. It was very hard. We was talking about the camera cut off, and I don't know where we left off at, but we were talking about me getting bullied and at a very young age, and how that kind of like impacted.
Turn it off.
I thought I did. We was talking about like how that actually impacted me at a very young age, and I don't know, it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
It really was. And you probably can remember the times I were being bullied.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't remember? Okay.
I wasn't not around you.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because I remember getting bullied when we were in the
when
project.
you was living with my mom.
No. It was when we was in the projects, South Philly.
Oh, okay.
When we lived in the projects, I was bullied there. And then when I moved back with you, and I went to Pepper. When I was with Grandma Joan for a little bit. And then I forgot. We was all over the place. And then I remember running into my person who bullied me.
She said she saw her.
I saw her. I ran into her again 15 years later, and I ran into her. I don't know where we were at. We were in the bathroom. I'll never forget her face. And I ran into her in the bathroom, and honey, I had a word for her. I was like, you used to bully me when we was younger. She was Muslim, and she was all garbed up, and she was like so apologetic. She was like, oh my God, I was young. I didn't know. I was just going to the cross. She was just like, oh my God. Like, she was so apologetic. But to have the courage to stand up to somebody and like literally like, you hurt me when I was younger, and tell them that, of course I forgave her. Like, it wasn't nothing like, well, we gonna fight now because I ran into my op or nothing like that. But it was still like like it would just felt good to be able to say that, even to say those, say how I felt about you. It felt to say that because for a long time my voice was covered. And I feel like the same thing with you, like for a long time your voice was covered, and now you're sharing how you feel and your story and things like that. It's a catalyst for something, I didn't want to get on social media. I didn't want to talk. I was nervous about all of that, So I was like, oh no, or healing, no. I'm like, no, let me stay in my ego. Because I was a narcissist. I was in my ego a lot. Yeah, I was ego driven. It was my way or the highway. I was very mean, and I was very cutthroat with a lot of things, and I just couldn't understand where that was coming from. Same with my sister. They was the same way as well too, and they're kind of like healing through all of this and changing through all of this. And like I said, I just don't know where I would be at right now in my journey. But yes, I could not stand to be around you, Ma. It was like literally irritating my soul. Yeah, I was so like mad at you. I was so resentful. Like, it was just so like, I felt so bitter. Like, I just felt like my life could have been different had you not have been on drugs. Because I believe you're so intelligent. You're a very smart woman. I hear all these great stories from your friends before you were on drugs, how you were an honor roll student and you journaled, and she was a writer.
And wrote poetry.
Yeah.
And everything.
And I'm like, what would our life had it been like had drugs not had came into play and did that to you? You know, and that's what I fear, like even with my children, I fear that with them. I see what drugs do, even just on a scale of weed, like smoking weed.
And I never could smoke weed, and it was all, and it was always paranoid.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't smoke weed.
My mom has scarred me, y'all. Like literally, like scarred me from drinking and drugs. I will freak out. I don't know, it just sends me into this frenzy and I will freak out, like I just can't do it, like it's just not for me at all.
Yeah, and I was up all night and I was nervous, and I never told my story.
Yeah.
And I just was, oh my God,
I feel like you still have more to tell.
Yeah, so many, and so much drugs.
Yeah.
And
it has affected her a lot. Like it has affected half of her brain is missing, and from the stroke, the damage of the stroke. You know, it has affected you a lot, mentally, physically, but yet, you know, I just want to say, again, we are here. Like, look at us. We are here.
Thank you, Jesus.
You know, God has protected us. Like I was saying before, when I was 6, and I remember those protectors being around me, those 3 or 4 tall things being around me. And now I notice what they are now because I'm tapped in and tuned in. I'm meditating. I know who they are now. But before, I didn't realize that they was watching me the whole time growing up. They were protecting me the entire time growing up. You know, it was just like, this is part of your destiny. This is part of your journey. It's not over. You know, you still have a life to live. You still have a after all of this transformation going through. You know, how long have you been clean now? It's been
19 years. That's going on 19 years.
Wow. 19 years.
I just don't know how I did it. That's the God.
I know.
And if I could do it, and everyone on drugs could do it.
Yeah.
And I just went through so much of the pills, acid, heroin, and cocaine, monster.
And not a lot of people come out of that. People
Exactly.
overdose and everything. And Philadelphia is like really bad.
And I was watching a famous people on the TV yesterday.
Right.
And somebody I forgot who man shot up and didn't come back alive.
Overdose.
And I am so grateful. And I'm grateful to Mom and my spiritual being and my mother and my children.
Yeah.
And yes, and my grandchildren.
Yeah,
and
we are definitely trying to make a difference by changing, you know, that generational
curse.
Yes. Yeah. Because I feel like the biggest thing in our y'all generation was drugs, but now I feel like in our generation is becoming this emotional detachment.
Yeah, and so many people commit suicide.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with us emotionally. And a lot of people don't really know where to start at with healing emotionally. They don't really just know where to start. And I found that what I started was actually getting a therapist. And a lot of people don't want to do that, but I had 3 therapists that I worked through all of this with, you know, and it was not easy talking to elders. All of my therapists were older than me, you know, they were elders to me. And I feel like that's what kind of helped me stay grounded and help me to like kind of move forward. And they really did. Like working with people who are older than you and elders, they really shut your ego down. You know, they don't come to play with you. They're not sugarcoating nothing with you. Our elders was like, I remember my healer, like one, she was like, Tiffany, you're not grounded. We'll reschedule. I'm like, what? No. And it, you know, at the time, I was like emotionally dependent on my healing. You know how you're emotionally dependent on drugs. I'm emotionally dependent on getting that fix and that healing and talking to somebody. And she's like, Tiffany, nope. And she was the one that told me I was dealing with codependency. And that's what you were. You were codependent on drugs. Codependency is something where you fulfill that emotional void which you're missing. You know, I was codependent on Raymond. What would my life be like without Raymond? If I leave Raymond, will he crumble? Things like that I was thinking. So it keeps us in that bonded attachment. Like you didn't want to leave your husband. You didn't want to stop drugs because you had that codependent attachment. And that's usually, we don't know what it's like to separate from that. And then when we separate from it, you be like, wow, like this isn't so bad after all, you know? Let me take the training wheels off, you know, let me explore a little bit, let me grow a little bit. And that's what I kind of found through this whole process. So me, I didn't know where to start, but I knew I started with therapists. I started in therapy. You know, I started meditating more, journaling more, just figuring out what I like to do and what I don't like to do, and you know, things like that. Just discovering myself.
Okay.
And those were things I didn't do at a young age.
And well, for me, it's just Jesus. And
yeah, my mom is Christian. Yes.
And I am so Christian.
Yeah, she is.
I don't like the rap music, I don't like that, and gospel. And God has kept me alive. And so I don't know what he's going to do next.
Yeah, pray and ask. Yeah, have faith, you know. Just pray and ask. That's how I tell you, I don't move until God tells me to move. You know, my motto with that, like, no, I'm not doing it too. God didn't say me to do that. Spirit didn't tell me to do that. So I grew up die-hard Christian. My mom had us in church all the time. I was on the choir, the singer, the leader, all of that in the choir. I loved it. And then I found that it was nothing wrong with Christianity, but Christianity just wasn't feeding my soul anymore. And I wanted more, and I wanted to reach out for more. And I just felt like it built the foundation for me, but it wasn't taking me to the next level where I needed to go at. And that's how I got into spirituality. So I have a energy or a knowledge of both worlds, you know, because I have that religious background. But like I said, religion keeps you in a box. To me, it keeps you in a box, and it does keep you stagnant when it comes to your spiritual growth. What is you? Who are you outside of the church? You know, what is your purpose outside of the church? What is your mission here to be outside of the church? And the church doesn't teach you that. You know, everything is rules and laws in the Bible, you know, and it's more to life than that. And that's where I had a yearning for. That's why I got into what I'm into now, spiritual healing and transformation, and reading, and tapping into my spiritual gifts and psychic gifts and stuff like that. That's where I learned more, and it's so vast. The universe is so big, it's so major, and that's how it's like it is with us. We're so big, we're so vast. There's so many trinkets to us, and we're made up of so many like energy and nerve centers and bones and particles. Like we're made up of so much more than just keeping us in the Bible. And I have I don't disrespect the Bible or anything like that. Nothing like that. I love certain parts of it. But like I said, I just wanted to go outside of that. I wanted to explore more, and I could not be even more happier. Like, I just cannot.
Well, I just want to feed the homeless.
Okay. Yes, that's what's next for Dad. What's next for Dad?
Yeah, and I wish I can build something like a soup kitchen.
Okay, yeah, she loves feeding the homeless, y'all. She takes her Her fixed income is not a lot. She takes her fixed income and she goes and feed the homeless. And yeah, I'd be really surprised at what she worked wonders with her money. Okay, but she does do it. She takes it and she feeds them. I love that.
Yes, and I just love talking to him, and because I was homeless. You know, when we was homeless in Westchester.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I remember that. We was in a shelter. It's the first time I had touched a Ouija board, and I said I'll never touch it again. I was like, no. I was like, no, thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't do it there. Not in my own house anyway. I would not touch a Ouija board. I don't know. It's crazy. Because the Ouija board was dealing with spirits that you never know. It's not just devils. You could be calling on anything, good or bad. And the Ouija board, if you asked it, it was just too spooked out for me. More than what I do with tarot and pendulums. Okay. That's how more spooked out it was. And I'm clairaudient, so I hear spirit talking to me and stuff like that. It was more spooked out than that. Ooh. So I was like, I'll never touch a Ouija board, because a Ouija board, you never know what it is you call it. And I feel like tarot and I feel like pendulums and all that stuff is the same way too. But you can call on who it is that you want. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I call on my high benevolent white light ancestors and my spirit guides and spirit team. With a Ouija board, you just never know what you're going to get with that. Oh my God. And you bring something in this room and you're not knowing it. So it was just like a no for me, and it was just too spooked out with us touching it. So I was like, well, it freaked us out. We threw the board over and everything. And we was in a shelter. This is when it first came out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think that's probably what you gotta be really, 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 really spiritually sound and grounded to mess around with that. Like if you is bringing something out, how are you? And you bring something up from another room. How you gonna get it out if you're bringing something up from another room? So that freaked me out. So I was like, no.
Oh my God.
And even with me doing tarot and spirit, this stuff, I still slow walk this. I don't go full force in it like a lot of people do. Like, I still take my time and I pace myself. I don't just be jumping in this stuff and doing stuff and not knowing what I'm doing. I don't want to get messed up, and I don't want to cross boundaries with God and spirit. Like, I don't want to be doing all of that. So I still slow walk the stuff that I do.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's why I would never touch that again. Yeah, that's a no for me. Okay, no. But I probably would if it wasn't in my own house, because I don't want to call nothing in my house.
Okay.
You know. But yeah, I don't know. I love all of that little stuff, but just that, no. I don't have any interest in it. I feel like even with tarot, I was called to do tarot. Like I was in 5 and Below, and the tarot thing was calling me out, because I didn't even want to, I looked at tarot as bad. It was like, tarot is like, witchcraft is bad. I'm like, no, I'm not touching no tarot deck. I looked right at it in the 5 and Below. I was like, I'm not touching no tarot deck. And it was like, at the time when I went and the tarot was calling me, I was more into manifesting, law of attraction, hermetic principles, and healing my chakras and things. I was more into that, healing and stuff. So tarot was like a no thing for me. And then when it was calling me and stuff like that, I was like, oh, okay. So I started learning about it. I started watching the history about it. How to protect yourself. It's still a connection that you're connecting with spirits with. And things like that. So I started, just slow walking myself. I've been doing it now for 3-4 years now. Yeah. So I do want you to, and I want to help, and I do want to help get this homeless initiative off the ground. I feel like you could do something with that. Start your business. Get yourself on the web for donations.
And I own a bookstore.
Yes.
And she Christian.
She loves her Christian bookstore. I get my journals from her. Yeah, I'm always stealing her journals.
Yes. Now after all, and you ain't getting this one. What I give it to you.
Yes, I love.
You such and such. I'll never get it.
That's mom's, okay? That's mom. You Leroy said, that's mom's, it is. She'll be alright. She'll be alright. Nah, you don't ever went to that's mom. She ain't my kids do it to me. They do it to be the same thing. I just be like, whatever, you know. I don't care. As long as they happy.
Yeah.
So what else is next for you on your healing journey?
I don't know. I just want to get to church.
Okay.
And every Sunday, I want to get to and open up my bookstore, Christian bookstore, and I'm out Texas, and a long way from Philly.
Yeah.
And
it's a new chapter.
Yeah.
It's a new chapter here. Don't be afraid of new beginnings. It could be a little frightening sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely was. I don't know. I feel like I don't show it with y'all. Like I just have this brave armor.
Yeah, and you have it just, and you
don't see it. Yeah, but I be afraid. I be frantic. I be crying. I be like, what is going on in my life right now? I be in my room alone, like, what the hell is going on with my life right now? Like I do. I be like going through the motions, and I feel like people don't take me as that because I'm such a like even I feel like with Raymond just like she got it, she can handle it. You know?
Yeah, and I always thought you can handle it.
Yeah, but no, I be like I be going through it.
What?
Yeah. And I be,
I'm show it.
I know I'm learning how to show it. I feel like I wear my masculine energy a lot, so I'm learning how to be in the feminine energy where I can show that vulnerability that hey, I need help or I need support or you know, because I don't want to be like, can you just check on me? Can you just hug me? I don't want to do, you know, I don't like coming off like that. But it's like I do be needing that, and I feel like a lot of people be afraid to show that side of them. You know, they do it in hiding. So I deal with a lot of stuff in hiding, and you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. But I do feel like I show that because Leanne said that to me too. She was like, well, you just always act like you're just so well, you know, you have everything all together. And I be like, I have no idea what is going on right now. But I'm just floating and God just guided me in, you know, and I just go in that order. So I don't know. But thank you, Mom, so much for being on the show. And thank you for sharing your story.
Ooh, Jesus.
You have so much to tell.
Yes.
You have so much to tell. And you know, I would definitely make me consider helping other people recovering and stuff and where they at in their journey. You know, reach out to some groups and stuff here.
Okay.
You know, you might could be a mentor to somebody, that kind of thing. You know, somebody who's trying to get clean. Things like that, yeah, because that was a rough journey for you. I remember you was selling our clothes, all our stuff,
and
we ain't had no food for the entire month. It was crazy.
Do it on camera.
No, Mom, we is put this on camera. That shit was crazy. I'm excuse our friend. It was rough, y'all. We had to go through the whole month with no food.
And rice and cheese and
canned pork.
Yeah, a whole month. Oh.
Yes, it was a rough time. And then she would do it all over again the next month. Wow, crazy, y'all. It's cray. I know y'all 80s babies know what we talking about. The 80s and 70s babies know.
Yeah.
Them 90 babies don't know nothing about nothing. In the 2000 millennium, they don't know. Yeah, they don't know. But 80s and 70s babies, y'all know what we talking about. Okay, everybody was doing it. Everybody was doing it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful, blessed, prosperous day.
And I can do it. You can do it.
Bye, y'all. Peace.
Bye.